in 2010.
Order. Question number 4, Phil Twyford.
Mr. Speaker, my question's for the Minister for Social Housing. Does she stand by her statement in relation to homelessness that we've got a demand and supply problem which we've been tackling for the last 2 years?
The
Speaker,
Honourable Paula
yes.
Bennett.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Phil Twyford.
How well is that going when the average Auckland house price has now reached $1 million? Average Auckland rents have gone up $3,500 in the last 2 years, and social agencies say they've never seen homelessness this bad.
Right. The Honourable Paula Bennett.
Well, Mr. Speaker, what we've got is a comprehensive work plan where we saw more than $40 million new money going into emergency housing providers alone. Another $3 million that we've made announcements on the Housing First policy, which will be rolled out in West Central and South Auckland. Another $9 million that's going into better tenant outcomes, where we are seeing tenants who are in both private rentals and HNZ in particular who are being evicted, and so we're trying to get in earlier to ensure they're not. There's the Housing New Zealand supply pipeline, where we see more Housing New Zealand homes in Auckland than we've had in the last 9 years. We've seen the number in Auckland increase. We're also seeing the announcement like today, where we're seeing that community housing provider also increase the number of supply that they've got.
Supplementary question, Phil Twyford.
Does she agree with the Salvation Army, who say the government has deliberately left thousands of state houses empty to justify selling them off?
That's right.
Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Paula Bennett.
No, I don't, not at all. Mr. Speaker, what we are seeing is a massive rebuild program that's going on, not just in Auckland but throughout the country, where you can see examples of 3 Housing New Zealand houses being knocked down and then 13 being built on that same site. So we are seeing more houses being built. We're also doing a complete analysis of the pending sales throughout New Zealand alongside of the housing register, which is going up in different places. So anywhere with over 100 on the wait list or an increase of up to 40 to 50%, then we're looking at to make sure that we've got the right synergies there as far as houses to the people that need them.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Dr Parmjeet Palmer.
Speaker, to the Minister, how will the $24.4 million in new funding for community housing providers that she announced today help increase the supply of social housing in Auckland?
The Honourable Paula Bennett.
Growing the role of community providers is a vital part of that comprehensive plan for social housing in particular. We've had the Social Housing Fund that was very successful, the SHOE Fund. Today we announced another $24.4 million on top of the $120 million that was in this year's budget. That means that we will be able to lend, we will be able to give a grant, of up to 50% for new builds, and also a 50% additional mark on top of the market rent for those that might be leasing. It will make a huge difference in getting some of those deals over the line.
Supplementary question, Phil Twyford.
Why is she wasting time quibbling with her own government's official definition of homelessness that was developed by the Ministry of Social Development, Housing New Zealand and Statistics New Zealand, and has now been adopted internationally? Or are they all wrong and only she is right?
The Honourable
Mr. Speaker, to be frank, I don't spend a lot of time on that. Every day I'm focused on getting more beds available for the New Zealanders that need it. That's been the key focus of this government. We can see that supply coming through. We can see an increase in the number of emergency housing beds. In fact, right now we've got a deal out there in purchasing a motel for more emergency beds in Auckland, as well as another whole lot of initiatives, including we're looking at community group houses. We're actually making sure that we're going to be looking at putting others into that as well.
Supplementary question, Phil Twyford.
Does she believe that 69-year-old Lynette Haynes of Tauranga, who is renting a temporary cabin in a motor camp because she cannot find any affordable housing, should be regarded as homeless? Or does she think that you're only homeless if people are stepping over you in the street?
The Honourable
Well, Mr.
Paula
Speaker,
Bennett.
I don't know those circumstances for that particular woman and as such where it would be. It's irrelevant. What she needs is actually a permanent home where she can get that kind of access. That's what I'm concentrating on, and that's what we're making progress on this side.
Question